The legal system has sentenced some pretty dangerous criminals to life in prison. In this video, we look at some dangerous criminals who received multiple life sentences for their crimes. These criminals will forever be behind bars. Sidney Newsome. Sidney Newsome was charged with domestic violence in court when Judge Aubrey Rimes ordered him to be removed from the courtroom. He became irate and unruly during the judgment. Surveillance video shows Newsome struggling with the bailiff. He then threw a stack of papers at the judge, and chaos ensued as Newsome tried grabbing more objects in the courtroom. A bailiff struggled to restrain the angry defendant. Judge Rimes got up from his seat after Newsome tried throwing a phone at him. At that point, Judge Rimes approached the defendant and single-handedly pinned him onto the desk and held him there until backup arrived. Newsome received an additional charge of contempt of court and served 2 days in jail. Joseph McAlpin. Joseph McAlpin, 32, was found guilty of aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, kidnapping, grand theft, and cruelty to animals. A Cuyahoga County jury recommended the death penalty, and the judge upheld the decision. McAlpin and 2 co-defendants went to Mr. Carr's in the Collinwood neighborhood on April 14, 2017, to steal vehicles. While the other 2 men waited down the street, McAlpin shot and killed Michael Kuznick, 50, and Trina Tomola, 46, according to prosecutors. He's also accused of killing the family dog before the group stole 2 cars from the lot. Futo Charles. Futo Charles led one of South Florida's most violent gangs and was sentenced to 65 years in prison on racketeering charges. A Palm Beach County judge sentenced Futo Charles, 30, after a jury convicted him of racketeering, conspiracy to commit racketeering, and 2 other drug charges, according to the Palm Beach Post. The conviction in the heavily guarded courthouse came days after a witness who planned to testify was gunned down in a parking lot. Charles's Top 6 gang, formed by Haitian migrants, was linked to 14 homicides and more than 150 shootings in the past few years, including a fatal Christmas Eve shooting at a busy mall in 2006. All part of a bloody gang war, according to authorities. Estimates eventually put the gang's membership at more than 400. Nico Jenkins. Nearly 4 years after a summer killing rampage, a 3-judge panel sentenced Nico Jenkins to death 4 times for 4 murders. Additionally, he received up to 500 years in prison for his remaining counts. Jenkins was convicted of killing 3 men and a young mother. The murders, which occurred over 10 days, were planned. 6 aggravating factors were weighed, such as Jenkins' previous history of violent crimes, against mitigating factors, such as his mental health diagnosis. Surrounded by 6 deputies, Jenkins sat quietly in the courtroom. In total, he was convicted of 12 counts. 4 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of using a deadly weapon to commit a felony, and 4 counts of possession of a deadly weapon by a prohibited person. Jenkins was Nebraska's 11th man on death row. Luis Bracamontes. Luis Bracamontes, who is a Mexican citizen, was found guilty of murder in the 2014 shootings of Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Danny Oliver and Placer County Sheriff's Detective Michael Davis Jr. He was also convicted of attempted murder, carjacking, weapons violations, and other crimes. During several profane outbursts during the trial, Bracamontes admitted to killing the officers and threatened to kill more. He looked toward relatives of the slain victims as he was removed from the courtroom mid-rant, prompting a renewed request from his lawyers to allow him to plead not guilty because of insanity. As the jury read its verdict, Bracamontes grinned. He smiled and silently clapped his hands as the jury's sentencing recommendation was read. When his guilty verdict was read, Bracamontes said he would kill more cops soon. Ronnie O'Neill III. Ronnie O'Neill was found guilty of the brutal murders of both his 9-year-old daughter and the mother of his 2 children in 2018. His son barely survived the attack and lived to testify against his father at the age of 11. Prosecutors began their closing arguments the same way they began their opening remarks, with the 911 call from 33-year-old Kenyatta Barron, O'Neill's girlfriend, as she pleaded for her life. Prosecutors said that by then she had already been shot, and while the recording continued, O'Neill can be heard beating her with a shotgun. O'Neill chose to represent himself, much like his opening statements 1 week ago. He yelled as he spoke to jurors, saying his son's statements were inconsistent, and he believes his son was likely coached by the Hillsborough County detective who later adopted him. That's it for this video.